Thank you very much, Paige. So I'll kick off this afternoon's event. And first and foremost, a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us today for the Marketing Humber event this afternoon. This is a pilot run, the first of its kind here, but does follow on our programme of our behind-the-scenes industry insights. And today is behind the scenes at BioD. Marketing Humber, we introduced the Industry Insight programme about 18 months to 2 years ago, and that really was to enhance our knowledge exchange programme and really start to connect business leaders across all sectors and in all disciplines, really to have the conversations of shared interests, challenges and opportunities. And they may be in leadership, they might be in lean operations, innovations, or a particular interest, of course, in the last couple of months, really around safety. So we're really pleased to bring you and show you behind BioD today. I'm particularly pleased that this pilot has been driven by our YTN. It's a pilot because it's the first one that we've run on our digital platform. So many thanks to the YTN Young Talent Network steering team, Emily Gallagher in particular, and the team at BioD who have made this possible. And I would also like to welcome Billie McLoughlin now. Billie sits on the YTN steering team and also on our Marketing Humber advisory board as a very valued member. And Billie will be hosting the event today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana. So hi everybody, and thank you very much for attending this afternoon. I'm Billie. For those of you that I don't know, I am a member of the YTN steering group. I have been since its formation. And yeah, I think it's extremely valuable. So for those of you that haven't been on a YTN event before, I hope you enjoy it and I hope you spread the word as well. The Young Talent Network, our aim basically is to try and retain that talent in the Humber region. And we do various events across the calendar year, from personal growth to industry insights and socials as well. So hopefully you get lots of value out of today and enjoy it. Just a little bit about why I think YTN is so valuable is, you know, we kind of sit in that middle ground of we're able to advise and help people who are sort of coming into their career. And at the same place, we are so well placed with the connections to Marketing Humber to get the best advice from some absolutely outstanding leaders in our region. And you will not find anywhere that you get that type of value. So it's a great place to be. So with that in mind, and without further ado, I will pass you over to BioD, who I believe are going to show us a video.
I was working mainly with ships when they were dry docked in Hull. You never ever saw any live fish or anything like that in the dry docks, and I used to water blast the ships to get rid of all the barnacles and all the other things, the contaminants. So that had to come off, but you couldn't get that off just with pressure. You had to use chemicals, and these chemicals all had various warnings on them. So you had to wear protective gear, goggles, sometimes full hoods, and you can imagine that the stuff was not particularly good. And at the time, I was an active member of Greenpeace and thought there's got to be something better than this, basically. So I started doing some research, and I spent quite a lot of time in the library in Hull, and I discovered lots of works which have been published about pollution caused by chemicals. There was one part of the scene that was put together with regards to the effluent created by domestic chemicals and cleaning products. And because of the volume of people all over the world using these particular products, there was a general acceptance that they were as polluting, if not more polluting, than the chemicals I was using to clean ships. So from there, in conjunction with a guy who I used to buy chemicals from to use on the shipping, Dan and I together developed a small range of environmentally responsible household detergents. We started off with washing up liquid and moved then to laundry liquid, multi-surface cleaner, and eventually we developed a full range. When you start working with these health food distributors, you become aware that there are other challenges to overcome, especially for people that's got allergies. And so the allergy side of it became very, very important. The market changed for the better, I think, because a general awareness of pollution started to filter down from niche markets like BioD into the mainstream.
When I joined the company, it was kind of very niche, really at the extreme end of the kind of vegan or animal cruelty-free market, but it's become much more mainstream in the last few years. Offsetters being a big one, or people changing their lifestyle. The increase in veganism's been huge, and people are much more aware of environmental and ethical issues.
The ethos of the company and the what the company stands for, its kind of passion, the animal testing criteria and that kind of thing. So quickly it became part of me, who I was. It's more than just a job. For me now, the products are so important to me and the story behind them.
We have Vegan Society endorsement. All of the products we make are vegan. We are completely cruelty-free. We have 100% recycled bottles. We're BRC accredited, British Retail Consortium for Quality. We have Allergy UK certification for all our fragrance-free products. We've got Ethical Consumers Best Buy, which looks at our supply chain and ethics of manufacturing within the business. There are very few people manufacturing these types of products, and even fewer in the UK.
When you walk into a shop, you can see that on the shelf and think, wow, that's something that we've put together. We've thought about the different ingredients. We wanted it to be as eco-friendly as possible. We wanted it to be as natural as possible. And you know when you look at the product that it's a good product for the customer to use. And that really means something.
Well, we do everything we can, from sourcing our energy from an ethical source, sustainable raw materials. The vast majority are plant-based, non-mineral oil-based. We only use essential oils, so there are no synthetics in there. We have all of our plastic bottles now are 100% post-consumer recycled waste, and have been for some time, and we're well ahead of our pledge on that. And we just keep pushing to do more and more to improve our products. If we want to stay at the kind of forefront and cutting edge of that eco-technology, we have to keep developing and evolving. One of the great things about our customers is that they have very like-minded feelings about the environment and ethics as we do. So it's really important to them that we are ethical. They're going and refilling their bottles, not using plastic bags, and those types of lifestyle choices. It's really important to us as a business that we don't disappoint our customers in that sense, and we don't want to. I think that's why we never have. We've always been very, very like-minded with our core customer base. They've been very loyal to us and looked after us, so we hope we look after them.
We always value customer feedback. It helps us to improve our products, our services. If there's a lot of feedback from customers that would help us to improve a product, then we'd listen to that.
I'm looking at a legacy now as I'm sitting in this room. It really does please me to see how much it's progressed into the future in the short time that I've been retired.
I think we've really, over 30 years, built up that trust with our customer base, that they trust that we make the right choices, to make it easy for them to make the right choices to help both the environment and society as a whole.
Hopefully you got to see that we do cleaning and personal care products, quite a few of those going around on the last 30 years, manufacturing those products, moved around various different buildings as we've got bigger, but we've been in the area since then. And Lloyd has been our MD since, Lloyd.
I'm MD 2010, I think.
2010, yeah. I always get the date wrong. And he's been in charge since then. So I've got a short video now of a little walk around our factory, because obviously if we were doing this kind of event in person, you'd get a little tour of the warehouse. So I've got a video showing that, and then afterwards we're just going to go through some questions, and feel free to add questions into the chat as we go through as well. Billy's going to shout those out to each of us. Hi everyone, so welcome to BioD. You've obviously just seen a a video about what we do and why we do it, and now I'm going to take you through a very homemade tour. So apologies for my terrible camera skills in advance, but we're going to have a look through the factory and have a look at the different production lines, and I'll just give you a little talk while we're going round. There we go, all sorted and looking great, obviously. So yeah, we'll get started. We've not got a lot of space left because there's been a huge demand for cleaning products over the coronavirus period, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. We've got a new line launching soon, our furniture polish, and that is actually on a new machine, which Annette over there is working on. And then we've got our powder line over here, which you can see the lovely Rob working on, which is a form, fill and seal machine. Then we've got two consumer size production lines here, where you can see we've got various bits of equipment, and at the back there we've got a 4x5 litre filling line. And here's all our lovely IBC storage. Then over here we've got our blending area. So we've got 5 blending tanks in total there. There's Mark, just wheeling around. We've got our scales over here and all of our raw materials. And then I'll take you down a finished product aisle. So this is where we pick from. You can see we've got our flexi trucks. Over here we've got our goods in and goods out area with Graham. ID labels lined up, and here's our lab. So this is where we work on new product development, stability trials, any new fragrances, and then the office, which is always the most boring part, which is why I do it last.
That was really good, Emily. No need to apologise at all. I do have a question actually, because if it was going around the warehouse, I would have asked this at the time. What did you say? Did you say RGC storage? What were those big sort of white tanks with the mesh around them? Is that the product that's already blended then before you put it into the bottles?
Yeah, so they're called, sorry, it's IBC. Probably my quick speaking and accent. Yeah, the IBC.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so yeah, I do have a couple of questions. I mean, as you said, you are struggling for space because of the demand that you have at this moment in time. So what would you say has been like the main challenges and obviously the main successes during this time? Because I imagine you've had to really work on, priorities and things during this time as which products are the most important. So what would you say has been the biggest challenges and the biggest successes through the coronavirus period?
Well, the biggest challenges, I think, of the major one has been supply chain. Supply chains around the world have been collapsing, particularly on packaging rather than raw materials. Lots of people are buying more cleaning products, more sanitizing products. So the demand for packaging has increased hugely. And as a fairly small player in that market compared to the big companies, laying our hands on packaging for our products has been particularly challenging. Even where normally, to give you an example, a huge amount of the world's supply of trigger sprays comes out of Northern Italy. Ours are UK manufactured, but when Northern Italy stopped, all those people who would normally buy from there come to the markets where they have available stock. So that's been a real challenge. The increase in demand while enabling social distancing. We've kind of spread the workforce out, so having reduced capacity and increased demand is never an ideal combination, and has stretched our lead times and the guys in our teams to their absolute limit. So that leads on to general capacity. We're already working 16 hours a day on shifts, and we're just adding a night shift into that mix as well now to try and increase the further capacity while still enabling safe working in the factory. And I think we've proved today that the remote working and doing things digitally rather than in person has been a challenge as well. But something I think everybody's gotten used to. But it has been a challenge. We were quite lucky. We kind of saw it coming, and before the lockdown came in, we did gear everybody up in our office team for working from home. I think if we'd have tried to do that a couple of weeks later, we'd have really struggled with our IT support staff to get the laptops and get all the software and systems up and running for us. So they've been real challenges, and ongoing. I think getting people back into the office may be a challenge. I think some people are particularly wary of being in any kind of public space now. Although lots of our team have proved that working from home is actually really very productive. So I think it will, as a positive, I think it will change the way we work going forward. On the successes, I think we have geared up for that more flexible working, which was a big investment for the business. So I'm not sure we would have done it if there hadn't been an absolute necessity to do it. So now we have done it, we can utilise it for that more flexible working. Of course, increased demand, new customers, probably customers that we wouldn't normally be able to access, and different procurement policies even, being able to supply people quickly without jumping through all the hoops and cutting the red tape has been an improvement for us. And also it's accelerated our operational development. We've kind of invested heavily in things, and the extra revenue we've gained has been invested in the business to improve us across the board. So that's been a real pro, and to kind of reduce people walking around the factory and interacting with each other, digitizing things is going to not only improve us from a quality point of view, but from an efficiency point of view as well. So there have been some really good pros from it.
That's really good to hear. And I guess with the digital side of things, it's going to help you with your green mission, because I know one thing, obviously, cleaning products that don't cost the earth. So
yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
it's going to help with that. So do you see any major challenges when it comes to sort of adhering to all of your policies and your ethos of being green, but also with everything that's happening with COVID? Do you think you're going to be, what do you see like the recovery journey for BioD being with those two things in mind?
Well, I think the green thing I think is okay, but the consumer confidence in our ability to supply, our lead times have more than quadrupled since the start of the crisis. So that's a challenge, and they are coming down now as we've geared up for it. But you can't just, we manufacture everything on site here, so we can't just turn up the taps instantly and produce things more quickly. I think the general trends in consumer behaviour moving towards online purchasing, we're gearing up for that. I think it's almost been the beginning of the end of retail for a while, but still our biggest market is independent retail, but I think that will shift to more and more online. So making sure we are prepared for that and have the correct packaging, etc., to suit online. One of the big progressions in the last year has been zero waste. So, refilling, people taking their own packaging into stores, etc., and using drums to refill. And we'd get those drums returned from retailers and reuse them. There's been a real reluctance from our wholesalers and supply chain to kind of handle things that other people have been handling. So that's been an issue. So that's a challenge for us at the moment, getting a safe system for closed loop purchasing, because certainly before this there was a very big trend towards closed loop, and people treating packaging as no longer disposable, but reusing it in all aspects, even the drums that refill that packaging. We'd like to have 100% post-consumer waste in our bottles and then refilling them and reusing them. So we're hoping to launder them, but getting them back at the moment in a safe way is going to be, and for a sustainable amount of time is going to be challenging, I think. And again,
answers a question that you've just had in, so you might want to elaborate a little bit more, but we've just had a question from Louise that says, are you working on low carbon innovation? So thinking particularly around smart low carbon packaging. So it kind of links into what you've been saying, Lloyd.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're trialing several different refill systems at the moment. A mail order where it's packaging as a service, so you kind of buy a pack and then you can send it on a regular basis back to us or back to one of our partners, and they'll clean that packaging and refill it for you and send it back to you on a subscription system. So there are lots of things we're trying. Carbon and our kind of environmental impact is at the forefront of everything we do to innovate. So yeah, there are several different things we're looking at. Equipment to fill in store, our closed loop service, and the kind of mail order service. So that there are lots of things we're doing on that, and that's just on products and supplying consumers. So without looking at the factory at this minute.
Great. So probably this is more of a question for Heather then. So as the economy does start to recover, what other ways do you see YD being able to reduce their carbon footprint?
So it's something which we're very much committed to do. We all have an impact on the environment, and as a company we feel very responsible to minimise that as much as possible. So we're actually in the process of calculating our carbon emissions as a company, and that's taking quite a lot of time and investment. So once we have that calculation and those figures completed, we'll actually be in a position to review our processes and see where we can refine what we're doing to save carbon emissions. And I think, with COVID-19, it's proved that we don't have to travel across the country to see a customer or a supplier. It's just as effective doing it on Zoom. And we're saving a lot of the carbon emissions that way. So I think, this new way of working is helping us, it's encouraging us, it's progressing, a different way of working that's going to be more environmentally friendly. So at the moment we're in the process of calculating the carbon emissions, and then we can move forward from there.
Fab, that's great. And then Emily, so what would you say is the best selling product that YD has then? Which one's the most popular?
Okay. There we go. I'm off mute now. Sorry, I unmuted myself as Paige muted me back, and we had a little mute off there. So it's changed quite a lot over the past 4 months. So previously, our best-selling products were our washing up liquid and laundry liquid, and that's purely because they're the things that we use most of. So we wash our dishes all the time and we wash our clothes all the time, whereas we maybe don't clean our windows as much. So they've always traditionally been the highest volume product. And what's changed quite a lot over the last 3 to 4 months is people's hygiene habits. So we've seen a large increase in the sales of our hand washes and also our all-purpose sanitizer. So the products that conform to BSE 1276, which is the commercial food preparation sort of British standard, where they're tested against various different types of bacteria. And a lot more people are looking into that kind of element of the products now, and we've seen a lot of people going for sanitising hand washes and the sanitisers to try and combat what's happening at the moment. People are washing their hands a lot more, which begs the question why people weren't before, but yeah, people are changing their hygiene habits, and that's set to continue, I think, for the next sort of 12 to 18 months. Now people have a heightened awareness of it.
That's fab, thank you. So just a couple of questions we've been getting in then. So whoever would like to answer this. So Heather, I think it's relating on what you were saying really. Is the process of calculating the carbon emissions something that others could follow? So is it, you are the trailblazers, YD I do feel are a trailblazer company. Do you think it's something that other people could follow easily? Or I know Emily does some brilliant things with how companies could reduce their sort of plastic usage. Do you think you could be a trailblazer company for how to do that and advise others the same way?
Yeah, I think it would be good. I mean, we're working with a consultant to be able to manage this, but it's something that I hope in turn, we can encourage our suppliers to do, so that there's a chain of calculated carbon emissions. It's something which, as I said, we all have an impact on the environment. We all have that responsibility, and if we share that responsibility, we can make such a bigger change for good doing it together. So yeah, I think it would be really good to be able to help others to do that too.
And also, I mean, we're using a consultant, but if you go on the Carbon Trust website, there are some ways you can, some tools and techniques you can use to basically calculate your carbon output. So everybody can start to measure it and have a go at it and get a ballpark figure. Obviously, we're doing things quite specifically because of the nature of our business. We're looking to move premises now, so we're looking to build a really low carbon factory and produce our own electricity and use sustainable building materials. As we've been part of the Waterline project, so that's all about carbon reduction in the estuary. So we kind of bring that into every aspect of what we do, including kind of building process, packaging, whatever it may be, raw materials, etc., etc.
That's really good. So Paige, would you mind, when you send the video out to the attendees, would you maybe mind putting a link in for the Carbon Trust website? Because, there's no reason why nobody can't have a look, really, I guess.
No, it's a basic tool, but it will give you an idea of what your carbon output is and how to calculate it simply. It's free, so it's there for everybody to use.
Thank you. Another question we've had then is, again, to do kind of with the products and the packaging. So do you partner with any academic experts for product and packaging innovation, or is it all things that are done in-house?
Yeah, absolutely. I think getting any help you can, especially in small businesses, is desirable. So we'll work with anybody who can add value to our product process or business generally. We've worked with the Biorenewables Development Centre at York University. We've worked with Halifax University. We've worked with Hull University too. So any kind of innovation on process. I think our profile's getting to the point now where people do think of us if they think they've got something innovative. So will contact us, whether it be a raw material, a packaging opportunity, or whatever it may be. Now we're getting some scale. So I think that's really working to our profile's working to our advantage now that people are approaching us or wanting to partner with us. We've got a good reputation. So it's a really good advantage, and it's a great way to add value without there being a huge cost involved if you're kind of innovating with partners, particularly academic partners. It's a really good way to move your business forward.
And do you also do quality assurance in-house as well?
Yeah, we do lots. We've got a really stringent quality system. It's British Retail Consortium, which is about the highest system. That's just typical of our fire alarm test. I know it's our test because of the time, so I won't be running away, don't panic. Yeah, so we have a really stringent BRC policy. We're a AA grade site, which is the highest grade you can get. So our consumers can be confident that our products are quality. We're innovating again on everything we do. We're kind of investing in our quality testing equipment. Some of the tests would take 6 hours, and at the moment we don't have that to wait before we can start filling products. So we've recently invested in some equipment that will help us do that testing in kind of 60 seconds rather than 6 hours. So there are lots of things we can do, and so we have really good. I mean, Heather's our QC manager. Maybe she should be talking on this one, but yeah, we do have very, very stringent quality procedures.
Thank you. Where would you say then, with regards to all the innovation, because that's something that is huge for your industry and especially for your organisation, where would you say the major challenges are when it comes to the innovation?
Well, there are lots of challenges on innovation, aren't there? Because by the nature of it, you're doing something new. So I mean, for instance, the packaging, we've been innovating on that over the last couple of years, and it was really challenging, and it took longer than we would have liked, and it was painful at times. But to be first to market or an early adopter, or certainly ahead of your competition, when you look back, it's worth the pain. But we kind of feel innovations in our blood. We're innovating in everything we do all of the time. So the processes, the actual manufacturing processes, the office processes, the packaging, the procedures for testing, absolutely everything we do. The one banned phrase here is that's the way we've always done things. So we're constantly trying to evolve, and I think we've kind of created a culture within the business now of challenging everything we're already doing and saying, can we do it better? I still think we could be even better at it, but we're getting there, and the vast majority of people in the business are kind of on board with challenging the things we do and seeing if we can improve them.
I love that. That's brilliant. I love the banned phrase as well. That's the way we've always done things. So with that in mind, then Anthony's asked, would you be interested in developing a packaging material that is totally biodegradable, recyclable, and developed from organic waste?
Absolutely. If he's got something, I'd be glad to talk to him. I mean, we've looked at biodegradable packaging before, but if you look at carbon footprints, it's actually better to reuse a piece of packaging 20 or 30 times than to have it biodegrade because of the energy used to create that packaging. So we've looked at those kinds of things really carefully. But you know, I'm always open to new opportunities, and for certain markets that kind of that would work. But at the moment, the kind of lowest carbon per use is to use 100% recycled plastic. So everything's been used once already, at least once, and is 100% recyclable, and preferably to be refilled from refillable containers. So that really reduces your carbon output. But I would be happy to look at any other opportunities on packaging.
Well, Louise just said, how did you start your journey of being a green company? Because it doesn't happen overnight, and your reputation of having like a real care for the environment is great, but you still have to make money. And I think a lot of businesses find it challenging to do both. So where did your journey start, and how do you think other companies could potentially keep green but still be profitable?
Well, our journey started by being a green company. That's how we were founded. You know, I know that you couldn't see the kind of founder video at the start particularly well, but BioD was always created to have a lower environmental impact. As the kind of story was that the founder was part of the Merchant Navy, then he had a company cleaning ships and realised he was discharging hazardous chemicals into the inland waterways, particularly in Hull when he was cleaning the hulls of ships. So I thought there must be a better way to do it. He made the products, but the shipping companies weren't particularly interested in using them. They wanted it to be cheap and quick and effective. So he then decided he'd start using those products, selling door to door to offices, really, to other businesses to have lower environmental impacts. Then we went on to other accreditations because it wasn't a very big market in the late 80s when he started. So then we added kind of vegan, cruelty-free, etc., which meant we had a broader audience. And I think this may be a controversial thing in business, but you know, I say to our sales guys, you know, we don't sell washing up liquid. We sell 30 years of experience in low impact environmental products, and that's where the value is. You know, that's where our added value is, in our kind of knowledge, expertise and experience. So we charge, you know, it's the products that don't cost the earth. Our products are inexpensive, but we make sure we produce them efficiently, effectively, cost effectively, but it's also important that we can make a profit in doing it. So you know, we start with it's got to work, and it ends with it's got to have lower impact on the environment than anybody else's products do.
That's good. I really like this question. This one's coming from the answer. She said, if you could, I'm going to actually pose this to each of you, so you can all have your own answer.
So it's not just me talking.
I just think it would be nice to get everybody's take on it.
Yeah.
So if you could have one celebrity endorser, and I do actually know you are already popular with one in particular, but if you could choose one celebrity endorser for your brand or product, who would you choose? So Emily, we'll start with you.
Oh yeah, it's David Attenborough. Because he is like the core person who really brought single-use plastic to the forefront, and that's such a big project, packaging, that we've been working on in the last few years. So for me, he really aligns with the packaging thing that we're trying to do to try and reduce people's impact on the environment by throwing things away. So we're trying to get people to use things more, and he'd be great for that.
I love that. Great answer. And Lloyd, who's yours today?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's a really difficult question.
really.
Yeah, I mean, the one that sprang to mind was David Attenborough, but you went to Emily first, so I feel like I've dipped out there. I really don't know. You know, I'd like to think I'm going to really give you a politician's answer here. You know, I'd like to think we really care about what we do and we make great products. So that only the right kind of people would want to endorse our products. I think, you know, that anybody who tries them, I mean, I say we've got kind of some unusual celebrity endorsements, which I didn't think we'd necessarily get or are necessarily our target audience. But, you know, I'd like to think we make products that anybody would be happy to endorse.
Very good answer. Heather, who would you pick?
Greta Thunberg.
Great answer. Is there a specific reason, anything in particular? I know obviously she is all of it, but
I just think that we need to be more passionate about the environment, and I think that she's so passionate, and if we could just get 1% of that, that would be enough to make a huge change.
I like that. And Nicole, who would you pick?
Well, we've had great answers from both, well, from everyone. The obvious choice I would have gone for is David Attenborough, just because he sings the ethos of our business. But apart from that, I can't really think of anyone else.
I would like to see a picture of David Attenborough and a pair of marigolds on Instagram. That would be great, with a Bio-D bottle.
We'll send him something, see what happens. Well, I mean, the Blue Planet programme that did the ocean plastics was instrumental in a huge step change in demand for us. We were already in 100% post-consumer recycled plastics then, so people started looking for it, and when other people were gearing up for it, we were already there in the market. So that was a great step change for us about a year ago now, wasn't it?
So we've had a question about your products are so great, but what is the one problem, maybe like one niggle, like, you know, any of you would like to overcome in the future that you seem to not be able to get by? Something that you just have a bit of trouble with?
Powder packaging's more challenging than other things. You know, we have a laminated plastic which is recyclable, but I'd like to have something more sustainable on the powder, and refilling powders are difficult too. You know, they're hydroscopic, so they draw moisture. That's a challenging one. The closed loop on refills is always going to be challenging, maintaining our kind of stringent quality standards and reusing packaging that's been all over the country or indeed all over the world to send out to consumers again and maintain that is going to be a challenge. There's lots of things. I mean, we kind of like doing things that people say are difficult or can't be done. I mean, Heather's moved into NPD, and we have our own little lab, and we do lots of experimentation. So we've I think produced, as far as we know, the world's first vegan furniture polish, which is in an aluminium tin and 100% recyclable. I'm probably stealing Heather's thunder here, because she developed that, you know, and being totally vegan, no beeswax in it, no animal byproducts, is the only one out there, and it's just launching very soon. So we quite like doing things differently and having a go at things. That's kind of the fun bit of work, isn't it?
And absolutely, and someone's just said, you know, the sky's the limit for Bio-D. So what is the next huge milestone? I have a feeling I know the answer to this, but what is, for the attendees, what is the next big milestone for you guys?
Is anybody else going to answer it? Me? No. Well, I guess moving premises and having a sustainable, you know, that's the final piece in the puzzle. Everything, we're in a, like many commercial entities, we're in a rented property, so you're limited as to what you can do for it. But the thing I'm really excited about at the moment is, you know, we've kind of put an offer on a couple of warehouses. We'll be able to, they're just empty shells, there's some land with them. We'll build some amazing sustainable offices. I mean, I'm probably getting a bit carried away with my dreams for the site. You know, I'm sure the accountants will rein me in at some point, won't they, Billy? Will rein me in at some point, but I'm really excited about developing something. That's kind of the final piece in the puzzle for me, that we're making really exciting sustainable products in a really exciting sustainable building. So yeah, as I'm sure that's what you were thinking, that's what I'm looking forward to next.
It was absolutely, and somebody said, you know, where are you currently based, and where is the next base of ID? If you're allowed to tell us, have you got any idea where the next sustainable?
Yeah, well, we're on Sutton Fields at the moment. You know, you're welcome to come and see us if you want to talk about sustainability. And we're hoping not to move far from here. You know, we have lots of staff who are on public transport or bicycles, so we don't want to move to an area and lose skilled, experienced staff. You know, kind of be easy to kind of buy somewhere out, buy some land at Melton and build on there. But especially when we're 24-hour working, it would be challenging for staff to do that. And we've got, you know, we have very, very low staff turnover, very loyal staff. And we're loyal to them too. So, you know, we want to make it simple. So I can't tell you exactly where, but it's kind of less than a mile from our current building is where we're looking at.
That's brilliant. So you are staying local, but somebody has asked if there are any other international markets that you are looking at going into.
Go on, Emily.
Yeah, we at the moment we see the biggest opportunity actually within the UK to grow into different sectors, but we do export to 18 different markets at the moment. So we do already export to quite a few different areas. That's in the EU and outside the EU as well. There's nowhere particularly that we're targeting at the moment, but we're always open to work with new distributors that are sort of like-minded to us and have the same values.
I love that, and somebody's actually made quite a funny comment back to the celebrity question, and they've said, do you make BioD dog shampoos? They said you could have some really cool endorsements with dogs and they're less prone to losing their reputation. So that's something that you've looked into, pet shampoos and pet products?
You want me to answer that, Emily?
Yeah, you can do.
We do actually formulate some pet products already, not under the BioD brand, but for other customers. And yeah, they're interesting. They kind of work in certain markets, especially in other international markets. But yeah, it would be interesting. But I'd say the products are there and ready to go. If you know any celebrities who want any shampoo for the dogs, we'll send them some.
I love that. And how do you source your products? And so whether it's for the dog shampoos or whether it's for your BioD products, I guess, Heather, this could be one for you. Where do you actually get, I presume it's called ingredients in your industry. Yeah. So where do you actually get those ingredients from? Where do you source them?
So it's a really important part of the process in manufacturing the products. I mean, it's the starting point of making a great product. And we, as Lloyd's already said, you know, we belong to several accreditations. So we have to make sure that when we select a new ingredient, that it complies with all the different accreditations that we have. So we need to make sure that it complies, so that it's had no animal testing, to make sure it's got no animal derivatives, to make sure it's going to be suitable for those that can have very high sensitivities. You know, and then on from that, it has to fit in with our BRC standard. So there's so many different criteria that it has to conform to. And also, you know, we don't just pick from any supplier. We have approved suppliers, so they have to kind of be aligned with their values. They have to appreciate what kind of market we're selling into. So selecting ingredients can take a long time. It can take a long time to make sure that all the boxes are ticked. But it can be frustrating at times, but then very rewarding when we actually find an ingredient that's going to be suitable and is going to be part of a great product.
You just touched on the accreditation. Would you just maybe go into a little bit more detail about sort of the accreditation process and how you achieve this? Because I think it's a very stringent process, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously every accreditation has different requirements, but generally speaking, you know, they will tooth comb every single formulation. They will look at all the ingredients. Like with Allergy UK, the ingredients have to go past a dermatologist and a consultant. You know, that's from almost like a medical point of view. So we can be assured that, you know, the ingredients we're using are safe. They're very, very unlikely to cause a reaction. There's so much work behind the scenes that goes into getting the accreditations and then maintaining them as well. You know, on an annual basis, we have another review to make sure that, you know, we're still in keeping with the criteria of the accreditations.
Thank you so much. So I guess between you and Emily, one of the questions we've been asked is, what product market causes the biggest challenge in developing the new products? I know obviously from your point of view, you're kind of formulating them and then Emily's sending them out to market. So which product do you think is the most challenging to do that with?
That's a difficult question. I think, I mean, I wouldn't be able to pinpoint a particular product that I thought was more challenging than others, because we wouldn't launch a product that we didn't have full confidence in. I don't know, Emily, what would you say on that? Or Lloyd?
I mean, I think every market has its own challenges, and that's one of the difficulties in working with international markets. If you're talking about kind of geographical markets, which is why we think we've got so much opportunity in the UK. We're really focused here. Although if the right opportunity presents itself, we do work with lots of overseas markets, but it does add a lot of complexity to your business. So, you know, unless it's a high value market, we would tend to avoid it. And products, I mean, again, every type of product we make, the hand washes fall under cosmetic regulations rather than cleaning product regulations. So there are much more stringent tests on those, and they have to run through independent testing, which has to be done by somebody with the correct qualifications, etc., before you can release that to market. So everything has its challenges. Personal care is more stringent because people are using it on the bodies, you know, leave-on products even more so. So they're all, the challenges are varying, and with the complexity we have at the moment, I think we're trying to focus on what we do the most and are best at. But you know, we do have opportunity where we make products for third parties that are in different markets, which does add complexity, but we learn something from supplying those markets every time we do it. So it's not a bad thing.
That's great, thank you. So I think we're almost at the end now. I'm sorry we haven't been able to get through all of the questions. I guess we'll just bring Nicole in because I feel like we haven't gone too much. So just as a final question then, with everything that's happening, you've got all these markets to consider, you've got a global pandemic to consider. By are you still managing to get some training, and are you still managing to keep up to date with all of the training that the staff are needing throughout this time?
So yeah, we are managing to keep up to date with the training. We've managed both internal, whether it's training over the likes of Zoom or Teams or another remote session. Also, if we've managed to get some external training providers in, as long as they can social distance. So we've had some guys doing forklift training. On the shop floor, we also have a skills matrix, and our production supervisor keeps that up to date on a monthly basis. From that, it can identify any training gaps, and it can address them with coaching or other one-to-one training. And from that, we can also promote from within. So recently, we've promoted a warehouse operative to a warehouse supervisor. Also, we've had a line operative go to a line leader. So it's great when we can do things like that. Also, with the current circumstances, unfortunately, lots of people are being furloughed, some are being made redundant. So the talent supply chain has greatly improved, and it's just at the time when we've been looking for jobs, we've had a greater selection of candidates. So
that's
been doing well for us.
Oh, that's fantastic, and it's such a great place to work, and it must be amazing to know that you're so valued within. You know, they would rather train internally than look outside, really. So that's brilliant news. Well, thank you all so much for your time, and thank you for putting the videos together, and Lloyd for letting us in the organisation to see everything that's happening. I've really enjoyed it. I did know quite a lot about BioD already, but I've learned a lot. So thank you so much, and thank you to everybody for all of your questions. So if you are interested in the YTN and you know, whether it's your first event or your 20th event, I hope you've enjoyed it. There are all of our socials on the screen at the moment. Please do get involved. As I said, you know, we do a variety of different events, so even if certain ones aren't for you, please follow all of the socials and just join in as and when you feel you are ready to. I'll pass over to Diana to close, but from me, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Billie. Paige, you have control of my video. If you could just restart it, please. No, you're going to go without my picture. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. Hopefully, yes, great. Lots of nods. In which case, where do I start? I found that absolutely amazing. So thank you very much. You truly are trailblazers. And I think if I had to capture 2 words, they would be innovation and passion from everything that I've heard today. And it was honestly truly inspirational. So thank you very much indeed. So many thanks, Lloyd, Emily, Nicole, and Heather. Thank you, Billy. The questions were streaming in and very well controlled. And I would just like to say, anybody that we haven't managed to answer your question, we will capture those that have been written down and try and come back to you. And also, if you're like me and you think of a question in 5 minutes time after we've shut down from the event, pop it through, because we will be coming out to you with the recording of this event today, and we will try and answer all of those questions. So just before we close out, we're always really keen to hear of your ideas for similar events. So if you know of a business or a sector that you'd really like to see behind the scenes, then please let us know. This has been a fantastic pilot, and we hope to have a whole programme of these. So please share your ideas. Just before we do go, we have some future events coming up. We have the Humber Estuary Conference in September. This is a fantastic one-day event, everything about Destination Humber, everything from infrastructure and strategy, energy, through to the culture and how we're trying to really promote the Humber. And it's really a culmination of banging the drum for the last year that is now beginning to get the Humber noticed. So that is going out. That will be a mix of internal and external audiences. So that's very exciting for September. And of course, for October, we've got the Waterline Summit. So a lot of the news and the announcements are just coming out, and now is your opportunity to get involved. And that is for a full week from the 19th to the 23rd of October. And very finally, in November, we also are the launch event for the Tech Humber Week. So please get involved for all of these. And thank you very much for joining us. For those of you who've given up your time this afternoon, your feedback is always welcome, and please join us at future events.